In this video, we are going to review how to create a mapping given a domain and a range. So the first question says, create a mapping with a domain of -1, 0, 2, 3, and a range of -1, 0, 4, 1, and 4. A wants me to create a mapping that is a function. So the first step when creating a mapping is you create a domain oval. So you draw the oval, you label it domain, and then you list all the numbers from the domain in the mapping, in the oval. -1, 0, 2, 3. Next, you create a range oval. So you draw the oval, you label it range, and you place all the range values in the oval. -1, 0, 1, and 4. Now to complete the mapping, we have to draw arrows from a domain value to a range value. And in this one, we want this to be a function. So for this mapping to represent a function, only one arrow can come from each of the domain values. So I'm going to map -1 to 1, 0 to -1, 2 to 4, and 3 to 0. And there is my mapping diagram. That is a function because only one arrow is coming from each domain value. So the set of ordered pairs that this mapping represents is -1, 1, 0, 0, -1, 2, 4, and 3, 0. So you can see there are no repeated x values, so this is a function. So to create a mapping that is not a function, we're still going to create the domain oval by drawing an oval, writing domain in front of it, and placing our domain values in the oval. And we will create a range oval, and we will put the range values in that oval. Now to make it not a function, I need to have two arrows coming from one or more of the domain value. So if I let -1 map to 0 and -1 map to 4, I've now created a mapping that is not a function. So we'll let 0 map to -1, 2 map to 1, and 3 map to 4. So the set of ordered pairs for this mapping is -1, 0, -1, 4, and I got that from going -1 and following it to 0, -1 to 4, my next point, 0 to -1, 2 to 1, and 3 to 4. So this is the set of ordered pairs that is represented for this mapping diagram. And this one is not a function because you can see we have repeated x values and we have two arrows coming from a domain value in the mapping diagram. This should say ordered pairs. Alright, so now let's write some steps so you can remember how to create a mapping. So remember, step one was to create a domain oval and place all domain values in the oval. Remember to label your oval as domain or x values. Step 2, create a range oval and place all range values in the oval. Remember to label your oval as range or y values. And then finally, step 3, draw arrows from domain values to range values if each domain value has only one arrow going to a range value, then the mapping is a function. So those are your steps to create our mapping diagrams that we created in step 1. Hopefully this helps you remember how to create a mapping diagram that is a function and is not a function.